it? What is this? Oh. What is going on? I think our mixer is acting up. Mayong bungkag sa kanatong tanan. Good morning, y'all. My name is Jiggy Juice. Right beside me,
I'm Chubby Boy.
you know what? You should change that name. Chubby Boy. Chubby Boy. Number one, there's two things that can go wrong with that name. Number one, if you cease to be chubby, then it doesn't make sense anymore, the name, right? And number two, nobody takes a person's name's Chubby Boy seriously. Anything with a boy means young, right? And like live on CNN, it's Chubby Boy. Hi, Chubby Boy. What is going on in the war in Ukraine? The war in Ukraine. It sounds weird, right? So you can never be taken seriously as a journalist, right? So you should change Chubby Boy.
All right.
Can we agree to change the name on the air right now? Let's bring in a name expert. We have Justine Narvios. Good morning, Justine Narvios. Good morning,
Top of the morning.
Okay, we have a problem. we have a big problem here.
Oh, what's the problem?
Ang pangani Chubby Boy, my partner here in the morning in the studios, it's not a very good name, right? and I told him there are two reasons why it's not a good name. Number one, nobody takes. Number one is if he sees this to be chubby, kumudaot siya Justin ba? Dili na Chubby Boy, dili na bagay, di ba? Number two, imagine a CNN reporter reporting on the war in Ukraine. Broadcasting live from the Ukraine, we have Chubby Boy. Who will take that seriously?
Well, I think he's just trying to make it a fun name. No, pareha good anang Jiggy Juice.
No, but Jiggy Juice, you could say, here's the juice on Ukraine. I can say that, right? Right? But here's the chubby on Ukraine. What is that? What is that?
Okay, so it's something that we need to work on pa.
Oh, you have to.
To be worked on.
No, we will work on it now on the air.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have to work. We have to work on it now. So before we talk about another impossible topic, which is radical transparency. Humanon sa tanay sa Chubby Boy, imong tinuring nga pangan si Ralph, di ba?
Ralph.
Ralph. Actually, Ralph or Raf?
Raf
Chavez actually sounds good. Sounds like a
Politician or something.
like a leader or a boxer, something manly, right?
Yeah,
Diba? Raf Chavez in this corner, weighing in at 120 pounds from the Dominican Republic. Raf Chavez. Sounds good, right?
Oh, I'm
right?
Dominican now.
Yeah. Whatever, man. I just made that up. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Raf Chavez.
Raf Chavez. So, what are your thoughts, Justin?
What do you think of that, Raf Chavez?
I think that's really good.
Okay.
Because it's like I think because of the A syllable, it's catching a Raf Chavez.
Okay.
No? Or maybe like Raf Chavs if you want to make it short.
No,
I don't know. If you want to
Raf
make it fun.
Chavez. I like Raf Chavez. Here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to use it here during the show for this particular segment and see what happens, okay?
Okay.
Let's take it from there. So from here on end, Justine Narvios, this guy over here beside me is Raf Chavez, spelled with an R-A-P-H, C-H-A-V-E-Z. Okay? Can we agree to that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, good. So where are you exactly? What's your location, Miss Justine Narvios?
I'm at home today.
Nice. It's a holiday today, right?
Yeah, it's a holiday today, but still, I don't know. There's still some stuff that needs to be done online. So
Did you ever go out of the house this morning? Not yet.
no, not yet.
You know what? On my way to the capital area, which is probably one of the busiest areas in Cebu, wag yung traffic in town. Hibong ko na unsa man ni? Is there something that I don't know? Is it the end of the world? Are people like hiding somewhere? Dili di ay. Holiday day. Wala klase day nabuang man ko. So I was even thinking about, hey, we should go back to the hybrid form of classes and not go to school every day in person. So we'll have no more traffic. Anyway, that's another discussion. Pero nasuko biya si Raf Chavez kay hindi siya ganahan ko kay na board ko na siya sa classroom. But we can talk about that in another time. But right now, atong hisgutan ka ng buntaga is actually a very ambitious topic. But I still want to talk about and try to scratch the surface of this topic, radical transparency. Unsa man ang radical transparency? Raf Chavez, can you kindly break it down to us? What's the Google definition of radical transparency? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so according to Google, radical transparency, in essence, is the practice of making organizational processes and data exceptionally open and accessible with the goal of fostering trust and accountability. It's a principle that can be applied across various domains like business and governance, but also even to personal relationships. Essentially, it's just about creating an environment where information is shared freely and openly with no secrets or hidden agendas.
So radical transparency. Muna siya sa pag tinuray lang pasabot niya na is mag-anisay lang ta, di ba? Mag-anisay lang ta. So ang mga examples nga akong nabasahan sa is for example, di ba kadaghanan ka ng mga korporasyon magsikreto magina sila, di ba? Dili magina sila ipakita ilahang mga statistics, right? But on the contrary with Netflix, ilang gibuhat is gipakita nila tanan unsay pinaka daghan nga views nga salida, unsay ganahan sa mga tao na mga likes, mga dislikes, mga thumbs up, thumbs down. So mura siya og gipakita nila nga ang ilahang company is here. This is who's watching what, and this is what the stats are, and this is the people that love and hate this particular movie, and so on and so forth. Mo nang example of a corporate radical transparency that I can think of. Ang usa sad mga gihisgot sa atuang mga nabasahan sa online is kana pang radical transparency is kanang mag-anisay lang gito ba sa atuang isig ka workmate, right? Maingon ka nga so tiani mo sila nga you're not doing well today. You don't smell good or whatever. Just brutally honest with each other all the time. Walay pugnanay ba? So I think that's a kind of example that I can show you now, be it theoretical or actual, like Netflix is an actual example. How about you, Justine? How do you feel about radical transparency? Do you see transparency in your life?
Yeah, in my life, I do see transparency. I think that's something really important, and especially in the workplace. As you mentioned, if you're honest towards your coworkers about how you feel, and I think that's also something very stressed sa mga HR practitioners, diba? Like they usually have like a check-in of their employees, and they have some coaching sessions. They would ask them how they are, how they're doing, not necessarily related to the work mismo or kanang how efficient they are or like if they've gotten tasks done, but even on a more emotional and personal level, really asking them how they're feeling and recognizing that they're people and that they need to be transparent about those things.
So you see that in your life. You see transparency. Ang mga pushback aning radical transparency is nga kung mag-anisay ta pirmi sa workplace, for example, you're actually a psychologist, so you're the perfect person to talk about this, and you've worked with HR or at least have experience with HR, right, Justine? So ang kahadlukan nila is na mga ubang tao nga mo work and mo sabot or for example even react positively to criticism. Na po ubang mga tao nga murag masuko. Na po ubang tao nga mangluod. Laylain tag klase ba o mga pangutok ba? We have different temperaments. We have different kaning sensitivities. We have different ways of looking at the world. So kung mag-anisay ta pirmi, basig ang uban dili makatake ba sa brutal honesty ba nga ikaw banga kay kastananda dili ka maayo ni trabaho rong adlaw da. Like ana bitan niya, they might take it personally. So napo ubang tao nga will work well with that kind of environment, diba? Yeah. So pero lain-lain mata, we're all diverse people. We have different experiences in the world, right? So kung ipariho na to og tanong tratar nga we are brutally honest and radically transparent with each other, dili ba nay uban nga dili ganahan ana? What do you think of that, Ralph?
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with that. If we're pushing for that kind of thing, I think there are certain people who will not work well in that kind of environment. I've had like personal experience mismo with like even within school, like within group projects. If you bring up to somebody, hey, I feel like you're not really pulling your weight sa kaninga task, and then they just react rather viciously to you telling them that, and you just trying to bring it up constructively, ba? And then they'll react very viciously to it. They'll be like, "Oh, si pasabot mo nga." Unsay, I'm not pulling my weight. Unsay, sabot mo ana.
Mm.
And then they just suddenly start getting angry at you,
Mm.
even though you're just trying to ask them to do their part,
Mm.
basically. So some people really cannot take criticism.
So the culture becomes less empathetic.
Mm-mm.
Sakto ba? 'Cause what are your thoughts on that, Justin?
Yeah, I totally agree with Raf. No, it's not only that people don't respond to criticism well because, of course, we have our ego, we have our pride. There's on the other side, there's a lot of people also who don't like to be honest. There's a lot of people who would prefer not to confront others. So it's twofold on the receivers and it's very difficult to be open-minded, to receive criticism, to receive honesty from other people without being offended. And on the other side, it's also difficult for some people to express themselves, whether it be in a way that they're transparent without being offensive, or they're being or just being honest. Okay, and that's also a difficulty for some people. To just share an experience, if si Raf naka-experience siya nga people don't take the honesty well, I also know people who have a hard time being honest, have a hard time expressing themselves. Bisag unsaon sila, even if they're placed in such a difficult situation, kana bitaw if you assign a task to someone, for example, and they're not honest with you, moing ka nga, sure ka, okay ra nimo ha, nga mao nimo workload, like in a group project example, you tell them nga, oh, are you okay to do this part and that part? Bisag magkalisod sila and they can't do it, they're not gonna be honest. I've had friends no who, as much as they can, they'll say gid nga, oh, kaya ra, and then at the end of the day, they can't pull through. So yeah, it's twofold.
Mm.
So do you think namin ka experience HR ba, Justin? Do you think that this is going to be good for the corporate world nga mag-anisay silang tanan gyud nga they really be brutally honest with each other? Do you think this will work, especially here in the Philippines, in our cultural setting here in the Philippines, in Cebu? Excuse me.
Oh, that's a good question. No, I think radical transparency is very useful in the workplace and in the corporate setup. And but I think it has to be coupled also with a sense of, as you mentioned earlier, empathy. So I remember there was something taught to us before that when you're giving feedback to someone in the workplace, it always has to start with, this is an example, no? It always has to start with something positive first. You can't just go straight to their room for improvement without stating no and acknowledging whatever works or whatever projects that they've been working on so far, whatever improvements, like even just to acknowledge that they're doing okay, or doing the bare minimum is enough before you break in the bad news. So I think that's really important because if we're all just gonna play nice and there are numbers that we have to keep up with and these are standardized. So in the workplace or in the corporate setup, it's not so much as I'm being honest with you because I don't like your behavior. It's nothing to do with that. It's a very professional setup we're in. If you're not hitting the numbers, I have to be honest with you, on what we need to do.
So what is suggesting, Justin, that this is good? That radical transparency is a good thing?
Yeah, I would say that it can thrive in corporate setting, and I think that they have been making.
So how about the different temperaments, the different diverse ways of being and looking at the world? Niya maglain-lain ng klaseng nga tao, lain-lain kultura, lain-lain mga nasod, lain-lain mga kinaiya niya. This way of doing things is obviously the word is radical transparency. That means nga homogeneous na tanan ang mga opisina, di ba? Tanan nga corporate life is homogeneous, pareha na tanan. So, di ba, murag, isn't this counter to our diversity and our different upbringings and our different cultural backgrounds and so on and so forth, right? So, na may uban ng mga kultura, including mostly the Philippines, di ba? We're not a very confrontational people, right? So, kung mag-radical transparency ta, maunsa naman ta, puros ta mga lood, wala na mabilin sa opisina. What do you think of that, Ralph?
I mean, yeah, you brought up how culturally dili ta mga confrontational.
We're not very
people.
upfront people, yeah.
Yeah, we're not very upfront. And I think we also brought this up when we were talking about katong unsaon nimo pag-ingon sa tao nga nanimaho sila.
Correct.
Oh. And yeah, it's really a difficult thing to if you ask a Filipino person to say, hey, you need to be honest with this person. Tell them straight to their face. No, there's something wrong. They need to change something. And I don't know. I've also been there. I've asked somebody to say something to someone. Okay, they need to change things up a bit. And then when they were relaying the message, murag ilang gitone down gani ang giingon ako, and I don't think they got the severity of the situation na noon.
Because it was toned down.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're not being brutally honest with that person. So wala na siya nakagets sa iyahang mensahe because
Yeah, yeah.
we were trying to filter our thoughts, diba? What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, if you're talking about kind of corporate setting, I understand no, that we have to deal with different temperaments, different personalities, different
Cultures.
and that's why I think all HR processes should also be like in line with that. No, it's very aware of how, especially with this day and age, how people react now.
But how can we be brutally transparent if we have to be aware of everybody's?
Mm. Yeah, well, I think these are standardized processes, man. So I think there's a system in which being brutally honest is done in a professional manner. Because if we're gonna take into account really nga, di everyone man gyud has different personality. So sakto gyud to imong giingon nga di na lang ta mo hire anyone kay ay mahadlok ta nga mangluod sila, di na lang ta nakata og feedback, di na lang ta ka appraise sa ilang performance, di na lang ta ka do metric. There are in any system, no, education, professional setup, kind of corporate, there are metrics that are set up that people need to reach. That's the reality. And these metrics also need to adapt to unsa ang changing times, unsa mga trends, unsa mga different cultures, different personalities, temperaments. So I think the question now is how are you gonna make those metrics? Is your way of appraisal, is your way of kind of transparency or how you bring up, for example, issues gonna be good for across cultures? Is it aware of different temperaments? Inga na ba? So I wouldn't say it's like black or white nga. Di gid pwede ang radical transparency.
Well, our thesis is radical transparency, a way to progress with a question mark at the end. Let's move up to the office setting, to the corporate transparency setting. For example, naay usa ka korporasyon o ni ipakita gyud niya tanan ang iyahang mga profit and loss and all of that stuff, the same stuff that your accountant sees, that the shareholders see, the public should see, and even in the government setting, right, in the public service setting, right, nga bag-o ra man siguro ta nakakita nga katong bidding gi public, di ba? Unya si President Manggali kaning napon toy incident nga murag gipakita niya ang tanan ng mga kontrata sa tanan ng mga kontraktor, unya nakita sa mga tao kinsa ang mga nakadaog sa mga kontrata nga binilyon-bilyon, di ba? Unya giadto ni presidente ang usa ka lugar nga naay binilyon man siguro to nga project nga walay nahitabo, walay nahimo. So if wala ta nag-transparent atong dapita, we would never have known about a ghost project, right?
Yeah.
And kanang mga bidding, di ba, ipakita gyud tanan, and sa korporasyon ipakita gyud tanan ang imuhang mga ang tinai, di ba?
Yeah.
So what do you think of that, Ralph? Is that a good thing, and who's that good for?
Well, it's a good thing for the general public, the consumers and the general public, because especially in sa katong scenario with the ghost projects, that's taxpayer money.
Okay.
That's being misused.
Okay.
And it's possibly being pocketed somewhere by someone. So just the fact that we were able to learn about these projects is already a good thing. And I don't know what the next step is going to be, but hopefully something is done about these funds not being put to use or being pocketed somewhere. I hope somebody gets punished for this.
Okay,
basically.
so that's just a small, minuscule sample size of our idea, radical transparency, right? Gamay ra kay nga butanga, pero unsa man nga butang nga ang gobyerno o ang korporasyon dili gyud mahibaw ang tanan. Na may mga butang siguro. What do you think of that, Justin? Isn't it nga there's a reason why people don't know everything about everyone, right? Because there are things nga would rather be not revealed, right? Especially when it comes to the corporate world competition, di ba? Kung ipakita nimo tanan, then sundo na lang sa imuhang competitor, di ba? Kung sa gobyerno, kung ipakita nimo tanan, wa na lang tayo mahimo ani kay sige lang bagut-but ang mga tao, di ba? So what do you think of that, Justin? Is it kaning radical transparency is just way too much? We really can't reveal everything that the government is doing, that a corporation is doing, and we really can't have radical transparency. What do you think?
I think there's, to a certain extent, no, the number of things or the kind of things that a government, for example, could share to other people and to the public, rather, that I feel like as a general public we have the right to know about. But I also see merit in not sharing every single thing, no, mga internal issues siguro that might just cause havoc, might just cause panic, and to be honest, general public might not even understand.
Mm.
So kanang I think it's important that they show to enough to let us know what we're supposed to know, like what they're doing about certain issues, how our rights are upheld, but all the nitty gritty that for me there are a lot of unnecessary things that we do not need or that they could keep from us, no. But I think the metric now to understand how do they divide between the two, that's something that I can't also uh, I can't also think of, no, nga, how does the government think of what they want to share and what they should keep, or what is the right thing to tell the public and what's the right thing to keep to themselves. I can just think nga, if basta mga internal processes, mga issues that could possibly cause more harm than good, then I think it would be okay for them to keep it to themselves before coming up with a solution.
So the idea of radical transparency actually is impossible. Would you say that? You know, we can be a little bit transparent, but not too much. You know, we can be brutally honest with each other, but only to a certain extent. So nagi yung mga siling mga filters or whatnot, right? It can't be just radical transparency
all the time.
all the time, right? Kay sakto ka, Justin. I never thought of it, but now may mga sekreto ang gobyerno, na yung mga butang nahibaw ang gobyerno nga dili kinanglan i-reveal tanan, di ba? Kay for example lang, na ay mga let's just say budget, projects and all of that stuff. Niya kung makibaw tanan, daga kay pangutanan, hindi lang mahuman, barag giba grabe naman kay ta kadugay. Our red tape in this country is legendary, right?
Yeah.
And we can never get things done, getting a permit, blah blah blah. So kung makibaw tanan, sige lang complain, wala gid tay mahuman, di na gid wala gid mahimo na hinuon sa sakto ba dako ang style, or mas maayo na lang kaning makibaw tanan, bahala nagmagugmaan ta, basta lang makibaw tanan nya, hinahinay lang kita, samot ta kahinay.
Actually, I don't wala pa kana ko nag gets why the public raising concerns about things will necessarily hinder the progress of it. I mean, you can. Are you saying every time concerns are raised by the public about, let's say, a project or something like that, kay the project needs to be put on hold? Or
No, kay for example, daghan kayong let's just say mo complain. Nganom na siya. When I say public, I just don't mean the people. I'm talking about even the politicians themselves. Nganom ni siya. Kanay siyang tawan na kaning gibully mo ko na niya pa high school, nganong naman na siya sa board, ano ba to, and stuff like that ba, di ba? So
Yeah.
it becomes petty ba, because like everybody knows everything.
Okay.
And I also think that not every opinion is a useful opinion. So
Correct.
too much hands stirring the pot. I feel like given social media and the rise of freedom of expression, everyone is empowered with that, no? So
Yeah.
and you with that right. So but there's a good and bad in giving everyone a voice, but when you're too transparent about every single thing, there's this term ito ka ng washing dirty laundry in public. Diba?
Correct, yeah. Oh.
Not all bad press becomes good press, and sometimes it becomes more harmful not only to reputation but through process in itself. Like imagine if you're trying to make a painting, wala pa gani ka nahuman og sketch, wala pa gani ka gabutang sa paint sa canvas. You know, you're at the most kind of conceptual stages pa of making that art piece. Yan, tanan mo i-invite even non-artists to scrutinize your work. Dagan gyud mo ingon, wa pa lagi ka ni paint, nagdrawing man lagi ka, blah. So then it becomes a nuisance and hinders progress. So that's how I can see the extremes ba of being too transparent even on about everything to the general public.
But with the advent of reality TV shows, which was started by Paris Hilton and Richie, Miss whatever her first name is, the daughter of Lionel Richie. Katong silang Paris Hilton magasugod mo silang gutoy murag watershed moment of the genre nga kaning what do you call this reality show. Nga gihalad gyud tanan silang gipangbuhat silang kinabuhi, di ba, with the Kardashians now and so on and so forth. So it looks like the public is ready. It looks like we have the appetite to see your dirty laundry.
Well, I think to an extent, but I've always thought of reality TV shows as like um kind of low brow kind of entertainment. Like I think people watch them primarily because they want to see people be from what I've seen so far at
But
the very
first of
least.
all, let me just make a statement. Lowbrow means like a majority of people, and highbrow means people like you, right? Who have like high taste and highbrow, right? That's what you're saying, right? So you don't. You mean to say that it's lowbrow because it's like for the masses, right? Now highbrow.
No, I'm not trying to say
That's what that word means. That's what that
okay.
term highbrow and lowbrow means, right?
Okay.
Maybe like more pop, more pop. Maybe
Uh,
like reality shows are more pop, and highbrow means more indie. So you go to something like that, right?
Okay, okay.
So how would you categorize reality shows?
Okay. I guess that then maybe lowbrow isn't necessarily the right term, but I've always
More commercial,
I don't know if
more
I don't know.
acceptable.
I don't know if it's acceptable.
Oh, well, that's a fact that genre is very successful, right?
Yeah, it's
So
successful.
so we
but I
can go against that fact, right?
Yeah. But I think like the main reason why it is successful is because people enjoy seeing other people be dumber than them. I think.
Okay.
And I think that's
I'll
like
buy that, okay.
the appeal of reality TV show, like especially because especially because I've seen a lot of them. I don't know if it's um always the case, but I've seen a lot of them where like the main highlights of the show, like the compilations of it on the internet are basically the ones where they're being kind of silly or dumb, and those are the ones that usually get like a lot of views.
What do you think,
on the
Justin? Do you think that the success of all of these reality TV shows, including Pinoy Big Brother, is a sign that the public is ready to listen to dirty laundry?
I think in the sense of media being consumed in entertainment, yes. But then again, radical transparency, I think the way that it's applied in different industries is really, really different. No, in entertainment, people appreciate what is raw, unfiltered, the things that you probably wouldn't think of. When you see them being done by someone on TV, it's relatable, right? You watch Pinoy Big Brother, you see these celebrities or people on TV. They're not made up when they wake up like what we usually consume in media, no? Kani mga influencers that are, of course, they look their best. It's very raw and unfiltered. They walk around the house like kapambalay. They cook in the kitchen. So as human beings, we sometimes relate to that. Okay, we know man, oh, they're just like us in a way. But then again, I wouldn't necessarily make a sweeping statement and say that the public is ready to accept radical transparency just because of transparent media or reality shows. That's just one factor of how radical transparency is applied, man. It works for TV, the numbers show a lot of these shows are successful, but I don't know if that's going to be exactly as or it's going to have the same appeal, like as you mentioned, in the corporate world. No, is it going to hinder progress, or is it going to be the same exact thing for government, for example, when they're trying to be transparent about mga audit, mga budget? No, is it going to be the same? People would appreciate it and they're ready to see everything. So yeah, lahi ra gid siya for entertainment.
One of the biggest features of a democracy is your right to privacy, right? In authoritarian governments, most people don't have privacy. Grabe kay sila ka Big Brother is watching. They get cameras in every corner, right? If you look at societies like China, for example, they have like millions of cameras all over the place, and they actually listen in and watch you and all of that stuff, and everybody is being surveilled, diba?
Yeah.
Sa demokrasya, privacy is important, right? We don't want you to see everything. I don't want you to know who I'm talking to, what I'm doing in private, right? So, kaning radical transparency is incompatible with democracy. What do you think, Ralph Chavez?
I think that's a very good point. You brought up, because when you were bringing up that the fact that it's very incompatible with democratic nations. I recalled the what do you call this? Ang kaning NSA scandal.
NFA?
NSA nga scandal
NSA,
from the US.
Tell me about that. I don't know what's the national what's NSA.
I forgot.
Anyway, what's the scandal about?
So NSA is another government agency that's I think they're in charge of security, national security agency
Okay.
there.
So what's
And
the scandal?
there was a scandal a while back where they were basically spying on everyday citizens, like in their day-to-day lives, and they were doing it secretly without the public knowing that they had already basically tapped into their computers or laptops cameras and are basically spying on their day-to-day lives. They're looking into their personal conversations, private conversations with one another, and somebody blew the whistle on that, and public outcry was massive. The NSA immediately had to back down from the backlash. So hello. Okay, so
What do you think of that, Justine? Is radical transparency not compatible with democracies?
I'm so glad you brought that up. No, I didn't even think of that. Na, in a way, because we have to be transparent, that's also an infringement, or like that's a way of the government taking hold of things that we might not want to share to the public. And yeah, in other governments, like in China, for example, as we mentioned, certain social media sites are banned. No, so it's different. It's different for them. Pero I've always seen transparency in general, maybe not radical transparency, but transparency method as a way to encourage noon democracy within the people. Because I'm so glad you brought this up, no? Kay, murag, this is what we were, or my classmates rather, may nilang ako gitawag, were grilled yun kahapon. So, i-grill gid sila aning doctrine, no? It's the idea that as a people, as a general public, no, we have, or it's our right rather to know about certain laws and ordinances that are in place, no, for them to be applicable, for them to be legally binding and enforceable. People should know about it. They should be published. So in that sense, for example, sa mga local ordinances lang kanang passed by our Cebu City Council, they don't need to be published sa official gazette, no, but because there's a local government code, they need to be posted publicly for a span of at least 3 weeks. So lahi man na siya, if it's a national law, it needs to be enforceable, posted within like 15 days, and people must follow it within 15 days. But here, for mga local ordinances, it must be published in newspaper, general circulation. So in that way, in that angle, I can really see nga, because everyone knows about unsay mga new nga balaod, what's going on with our government, what they're doing with our money. It empowers people noon. It empowers democracy nga, okay, we know about it. Like, not only know about it, we can do something about it. More awareness in a way brings freedom, I would say. Your democracy is practiced because we're aware. That's how I look at it. Pero I think it's a very valid point that you brought up na awareness comes with a price. Awareness means also invading privacy. So that's a good point.
There are certain officials, politicians even nga are espousing transparency in government, right? Unya, kanang corruption kuno can be curtailed or even if not completely eliminated with transparency.
yeah.
And imagine every single centavo that goes through the government is seen, exposed, right? Even their bank accounts, of these government officials are on live stream on public domain, right?
Yeah.
What kind of a world are we living in? Is this a utopia or is this the apocalypse?
I think I would much prefer a world where we are fully informed on everything the government, just about everything the government spends money on, especially if this is taxpayer funded and it's for like public use ang kaning mga projects, or it's for the benefit of the public. Then I think the public should be fully aware of where their money goes and just how much of the money is being spent.
But on the other side too, Justine, the government has to also know your bank account, right? So would you be okay with that? That your congressman, your mayors, your governors, your senators, your prime ministers, or your presidents bank account, but they should know your bank account too.
Honestly, I would say yeah. I think
Okay ra ka na? Okay ra ka?
I'm okay na lang with paying that price of knowing. But I understand na it's an invasion of my privacy, but I don't think if there's a price to pay na lang good for me to know about all these extra steps that the government are taking, then I think I'm okay with them also knowing what's on my bank account. I'm building that upon the idea now that there's something that my dad would always say. It's if you know you didn't do anything wrong, you shouldn't be afraid. So in that sense, I'm not afraid of divulging my bank account. Maragwamasad sila yung makita ko dito kayo. But at the same time,
Yeah.
there's the danger of what they can do with that information.
Well, you'll never know. For example, you have a TikTok account or whatever. Somebody's sending you money from some like a bunch of you have a gangster. You have a bunch of fans who are radical and like member of an army, whatever, and they send you money, right, from a nation that's I don't know, like known to harbor terrorists, for example. Padalan ka kwarta, makita na sa imuhang account nimo, abot din ng pulis ay manuktok din ang FBI sa imong mga pultahan. Justin, anya pangitaon din ka. Asam ni si Justin nganong naman ni kwarta gikan ni kinsa ni terrorist A. Unsa man ni oy. So what do you think of that thought kaning Ralph, that potential of kung mahibawan tanan si musud si mo ang account kung naay terrorist group nga ni donate na ni Justin kay mayo kay ni kanta, nothing to do with terrorism, maprisos Justin kini accept niya iyang gipalit og kuan, gipalit niya og cellphone ang gi-donate sa terrorist. What do you think of that, Ralph?
Well, I think
Hindi ka mahadlo ka na?
I think I would be concerned about that, especially because I've seen how even hello. Okay, we're
Yes.
having a little issue with our mixer at the
Okay,
moment.
okay. Continue, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I've seen examples recently of how hello.
Our time now, it is 12:02. And
Yeah, but-
we're going to continue this conversation in a bit. Stay tuned on 105.1 TMC, the best of us.
Kia ora. This is Freemail from New Zealand.
Okay.
Aired in
I also have
105.1
a thought
TMC in Cebu
I'm kind
City
of like
every
what's the word?
Thursday at 6 a.m.
Mamaol nga na ay hilana. Kadungan-dungan man ang mga kuan-kuan. Rexido 40 ang atong idol. Mas paspas banat. So bat faster versus paracetamol in as fast as 30 minutes.
Alagang Unilabyan.
Paracetamol caffeine is a generic name of Rexido 40. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Rexidol Forte mas paspas banat sa bugat ug dungan-dungan nga sakit. Bugat nga nailabad sa ulo ug pamaol nga naay hilanat.
Close your eyes and imagine a new world. A world that embraces all your passions, where you can immerse in the rich culture and cuisine of Cebu, all while savoring the city's most breathtaking sea view. This 2025, open your eyes to the boardwalk and the shops at Mandani Bay, where you can live your passion every day.
Follow your heart and follow your dreams. Live your passion, that's how it should be. So follow your heart, starting today. Live your passion, love life every day. Live your passion, Mandani Bay.
Live your passion and feel the energy at the Boardwalk on its soft opening starting this July 9. Open daily from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Whether you're strolling or running, the scenic path is yours to enjoy.
So Justin, sorry murag napaong tagamay da. Are you still there, Justin? So are you? We were talking about how if you're okay with a government prying on your bank account.
Yeah,
that's what we were talking about, right?
Yeah. And as I was trying to say earlier, I'm kind of concerned about that kind of exchange. Now I know it's kind of like you might see it as like, oh, it's not fair. But I think if you're in a public institution, if you're in the government, you should be held to a different standard than, say, a private citizen. And I'm especially concerned with the concept of, excuse me, especially concerned with the concept of the government having access to your bank accounts, because I've seen how even in democratic countries like Canada, for example, where they froze people's bank accounts over the fact that they were protesting the government. Yeah, so it's kind of concerning, and it's not just their bank accounts that were getting that were getting frozen. Even like I forgot what the term for it is. Third party cash transaction apps like not apps, but like what do you call this? GoFundMe's.
Okay.
Those those types of
websites.
Yeah. They prevented GoFundMe from distributing donated money to the protesters because they didn't want the protesters to be able to continue the protest.
Interesting. So what do you think of that, Justin? You're right. For example, if especially now with cryptocurrency, right? With what do you call that? With blockchain, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to transfer funds, right? It's so easy to, let's just say, if your objective is to destabilize a nation, for example, and you fund a terrorist group, and you can funnel the money, nobody knows about it, right? And it's kind of scary, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Justin?
Yeah, I think my final, how I would think about this, Langkid, is generally I am all for radical transparency, and I do think it's a good exercise of democracy. It banks on the idea that everyone should be held accountable, and that it encourages noon people to be more informed, to participate more. It builds trust, but at the same time, I'm very iffy about the cost of it. So, as a citizen, I would want my government to be transparent about everything. Like, if I could demand this and that, they would really lead everything. Okay, na. The issue now is about my transparency as a private citizen. So, I'm iffy about them having information or having access that might hinder my rights. So, kanang example, kanang cutting off GoFundMe or having access to my bank account, or where my revenue goes, and or whatever I earn, this and that. So I think that's something that I'm still really iffy about. So hopefully, I don't know what's the middle ground between the two. My stand really is, if it's the idea of radical transparency used in the government, like I'm good for that. I think it practices democracy. But insofar as my personal life, about how the government can also have a hand in what I do, I think I'd still have to draw the line pa.
Yeah, you're right. And I think for me, anything with the word radical before it, I think is too radical. And so maybe we can have some form of transparency, but that's the thing, Mangud. You can't cherry pick, Mangud. You can't do that. I said you do it or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's one or the other. Or is it? Maybe there's a gray area here. Maybe there's something that we can do that's not too transparent, but it's transparent enough.
Yeah.
And society can still function, right? But do know that radical transparency is practiced by a lot of authoritarian regimes, right? So that's how they run their countries, and so on and so forth. So there is a kind of a benefit if you're a certain kind of person and you have a certain persuasion, right? So anything with the word radical is just too much. So maybe we can tone it down a little bit to just a little bit of transparency. What do you think, Ralph? Before we wrap it up, go ahead.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Maybe the transparency is good, but to a certain extent.
Okay.
To a certain level, we need transparency but just enough transparency, because too much of anything is not healthy.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna end it at that, right?
Too much of everything can't be too good, and I think it also depends good on unsay mong idea.
Okay, before we wrap this up, Justine, I have an exercise for us. Okay, tell me something that is radically transparent. Go ahead. For you.
Oh,
about
me
you.
first?
Yes, you.
Oh my goodness. Something that is radically transparent. I actually hate. Why is this like the first thing in my mind? I don't know if it matters, but personally, I hate going to public restrooms and then the flush is the flush isn't automatic. That sounds so arte, but it's also
scary. I know. How about you? Tell me something radically transparent.
Oh, something about myself that's radically transparent.
Yep.
Then it's probably gonna be my interests.
Okay, what do you mean?
I've
oh my god, please, please, let it be something that we won't be banned. I hope. Huh?
No, I'm talking about
what are your interests, man?
My hobbies.
Okay, what are your hobbies, man?
Well,
do you like killing people? What are your hobbies?
Oh no. Well, I enjoy virtual beating people up. if that's what you're.
Okay, what? Go ahead.
But I mean, like playing video games, like action video games.
What's wrong with that? Okay, but that's radically transparent.
Radically transparent, as in like all of my interests. You can pretty much tell from what I do on a day-to-day basis. Even the things that I wear, I'm wearing like a.
Oh, League of Legends.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you something transparent about me. I am poor. Wakoy kwarta. I'm poor. Mahadlo kung pronounce it sa aron. Kaya murag sa mikaw nga poor ko. 105.1. Bye, Justine.
Bye, guys. Thank you.